Spontaneous speaking video 49. So I just got back from Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. I went there for Thanksgiving break. And before I left, I dropped, as many of you have already seen, the NT's Low-Key Suck video. Just for those of you who don't know, it's pretty much constructive, humorous criticism for all the temperaments of each type. The last one I'm going to be doing is the SJ's Low-Key Suck video, and then I'm going to revamp with another series doing all the types over again. I started with NFs and I did SPs, NTs now, next will be SJs. I'm going to do that again, except with a high key rocks, pretty much highlighting all of the great things about all of the types. So yeah, it's not anything to be taken like too personal or whatever. If you want, you can go check it out. If you don't want to, that's fine. But it's necessary for this backstory because pretty much when I dropped that video, within 4 minutes, and it's like, I think it's like a 36-minute video, 38 minute video. I take about like 10 minutes to pretty much attack each type, or each of the NT types. And when I dropped the video like about 4 minutes deep, then there was an ENTJ who had commented on there, a bunch of comments, pretty much like, she was just extremely upset and very offended. She took it personally, and I was immediately like, dang, like thinking to myself, like, if you guys look at the thumbnail of the video, I was already like hesitant to put it up, and it has me like hiding pretty much because NTs are scary and especially ENTJs, they can be quite intimidating a lot of times. And I was just like, man, like a lot of NTs are telling me after they saw the NFs, I was only going to keep it with the NFs low-key suck, and then everyone was like, oh, do me, do us. So I'm like, okay, sure. So I put that out there, and I was really nervous to put this one out, but people kept on asking me like, so did you put the NT video up? Did you put the NT video up? And I'm still continuing to get some comments on there like about how bad it is or whatever. But nonetheless, this specific one from this ENTJ so soon just really like scared me and made me feel some type of way, like, dang, like my intentions were misread, or whatever the case may be. You guys, if you want, you can go look at the comments or whatever, but don't make any judgments until I finish telling the story. So pretty much I was just talking to this ENTJ, Keisha is her name, if she doesn't mind me saying that. And I commented back to her like, hey, like, she even unsubscribed from me and everything, like it was that serious. And I commented back to her like, hey, I think that maybe like there's been some type of like miscommunication, misunderstanding. If you want, you can add me on Facebook. Anybody can add me on Facebook, but if you can, try and let me know that you're not a spam page. But yeah, I was like, if you want, like, we can talk about it on Facebook, discuss a few things, really get the intentions and motives down. And one of my friends, she's INFP, she was like, wait, what? Like, are you really like trying to reach out to her? Like, why are you doing this? Pretty much, like, why are you trying to like actually like mend this or like explain yourself? I think that you tried to in the comments well enough and in the video, and she just doesn't seem like the type that's gonna be receptive and all of that. Like, if anything, you should just give it up. Like, you don't have to explain yourself. And it's funny because that's how my INFP younger sister is like. She's always like, Denzel, why are you trying to explain yourself to people? But that's just how I am. I just want to always try and create harmony and let people know like, yo, my intentions weren't ill-mannered or they weren't ill-intended. And so I told the girl, she's really cool, very understanding. I told the INFP, my friend, that, hey, like, I mean, like, yeah, I think this would just be like my last attempt. Like, the least I can do is try everything that I can do to help, have this communication. And then at least by the end of the day, I can tell myself like, hey, this didn't work out, but I did my best. And she was like, okay, well, if that's what you want to do, then you go ahead. Well, so I did. Keisha did actually accept my friend request on Facebook today, actually. And within moments, I hit her up. I'm like, Keisha. She's like, hey. And I was like, hey, you live in New York. That's cool. I live in New York too, whatever. And then she's like, and I was like, but anyway, I wanted to apologize. And I start typing the apology. Then she sent another message saying that texting or Facebook messaging is going to be annoying. And so best thing to do is to talk on the phone. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That works better for me anyway. I was free today, so it's like, okay, well, whatever. So I called her within the next 15 minutes or so. I'm not going to tell you everything that went on during that phone conversation, but the gist of that conversation, first of all, it went on for an hour, and it could have easily went on for another hour. And this wasn't because we were arguing or anything, but it was actually the opposite. We were vibing so well with each other. I was allowing her to explain herself, and I was listening very intently to everything that she had to say, the problems that she had with the video originally, what her thinking was when she watched it, stuff like, yeah, I just didn't expect that from you because, it seemed like you were like using this tool to like kind of like bash people, like, and ENTJs already have like a bad rep for a lot of stuff, and like a lot of things are based on like misconceptions, and you're not helping that. You're throwing more wood into that fire, ramping things up and stuff like that. And it was a lot of other things as well, but one of the things that I explained to her was that, well, in actuality, I made the NF's video first. And I went just as hard on all of the other types, including my own, and then other people, including ENTJs and stuff, like, hey, do us next. So I'm like, okay, so I guess I'm going to do one for all the temperaments, the SJs, NTs, and SPs. And so I did the SPs next, and I did the NTs now and everything. I explained that to her. I was like, if anything, also, it was kind of difficult for me. I took a long time to do the NTs video because I was afraid of this happening. I didn't want people to like misread my intentions behind it and all of that. And yeah, we just had like great conversation. She explained a lot of things about ENTJs, especially being an ENTJ type 8. And she explained a lot of things that I didn't know and I didn't understand. And we clarified certain things like, oh yeah, well this is the experiences that I've had with other ENTJs, but there are ENTJs that I really like, and like I'm planning to mention them and now you in the High Key Rocks series and everything. And long story short, she's gonna be being interviewed for my ENTJ interview video. Hopefully that'll be out in January when I go back to New York. I should be going back in December, but yeah. Hoping January will be when we're able to get in this interview. I think you guys will really like her. You guys will really like learn a lot about ENTJs from that video. It'll also help a lot with my NT's High Key Rock video that's going to come out next year. But yeah, so that pretty much what I learned from that was like, because now she literally has potential to become like a really good friend of mine. And it's like, oh, you were once an enemy. We once, like, just earlier this week, we really disliked each other. I could have easily just been like, man, one less subscriber, you know what, it's whatever. If she's butthurt, that's fine, or whatever. But I decided to pursue that and create harmony out of that situation. And there's another instance that I want to mention before I like pretty much like wrap the spontaneous speaking video up to kind of give the point of what I'm saying. So I work at the Jerry Falwell Library, and there was this dude. He's like 6'5", 6'7", so that's already something. Big black dude. He walks like I don't know for sure, but I would guess that he's probably like an ESTP. And he just walks with like confidence and stuff like that, and he's a cool dude. But yeah, I never really like had like talked to him at the time. But one day I'm on the 3rd floor of the library, and well, even before that, like I'm on the 2nd floor, and like I like held the door for him or something, and I think he said something like, "Oh, it's okay, I got it." I'm like, "Okay." So I went upstairs, and we were crossing paths. And then my ISTP friend Simba was even sitting down. And as me and the dude was crossing paths, then he was like, "Hey." And I was like, "Oh, hey, what's up, man?" And then He was like, look, I don't know if what you're doing is like facetious or whatever, but I want you to know, like, I'm 36 years old and I don't play that type of mess or whatever. I'm like, oh wait, what? And he started like really like coming for me. Like my heart was like beating. Like I wasn't afraid he was about to hit me or anything, but like I'm just like, whoa, like where's all this coming from? Because I was so confused. And he was, in his mind, he saw me as like, apparently like, I've never talked to the dude, but apparently like my facial expressions or something has come off as like facetious to him before, previous times. And then he was like, no, don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about now that you know, like, you're being called out on it or whatever. Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm too old for that, like, so you better like cut that out. I don't need, if you think I need a friend, I don't need a friend. And I'm just like, oh dang, like, and he was just really coming for me. So like I said, I don't really remember like everything that he was saying because I was in shock, but that was pretty much like the gist. Walked away, and he was just like really angry. And Simba, cool, chill dude, he was just sitting there like, what the heck? And I was confused. Jamila came up like later on, and I explained to her like, yo, like this is what just happened, everything. And I was sitting there, like Simba told me like, yo man, just forget about it. See, this is where you're a New Yorker. Like Simba's also from New York. It's like, this is where you New Yorker like just has to like come out. Like if he wants to like be like that, like worried, obviously like there's a problem with him. Like you don't gotta worry about that or whatever. And then Jamila's like, yeah, like don't worry about it. Like if he's obviously crazy. He's made up things in his mind. Like just forget about it. I was like, haha, yeah, sure. And about a minute later or two, I'm sitting in the couch as we're all doing work, and I'm just like still thinking about it. And Jamila's like looking at me. She's always looking at me and observing me or whatever. And she's like, Denzel. I'm like, huh? She's like, you're still thinking about this? I'm like, I mean, yeah, like I'm just trying to remember like previous interactions with him. Like what made him think that? And like, why do we, like, I don't want this type of beef because I see the dude around often, and I work at the library now. So it's like, now every time I see this dude, I'm going to know that we have beef, or like he's going to avoid me or I'm going to avoid him. And I'm not about that type of like, oh, we're not cool. I don't like static. I don't like negative energy. I don't like beefing, stuff like that. So I'm just like bothered and paranoid about this. And I'm like, I'm going to write him a letter. And Jamila and Simba are like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like I'm just gonna write him like, you know, a simple letter. It wasn't anything like long, like 2 pages. It didn't even make it up to like, I think it was like at most half a page if we double spaced it. But pretty much in the letter, I wrote it up, I typed it up, and I pretty much was like saying, okay, like I don't know your name or anything, but if you like, I'm sorry, like if you feel like I've done anything to you to upset you in the past or anything, to be 100% honest, like I have no idea what you were talking about. Like I was legit confused that day. Like my friends were even looking at me like, whoa, that's weird and everything. But yeah, I really am sorry for any way that may have come off. I understand that I'm extra friendly, so maybe that's why I can sometimes come off as like facetious, but I promise you that everything that I'm doing is like authentic. Like I really do mean, like, I'm just naturally a nice person. I'm naturally like and just like I said in my ENFJ interview video, like I guess we come off as like Chick-fil-A workers. And so when I'm like, hey, how are you doing? Or like I'm smiling at you, it's not like a facetious type of smile, unless if you were trying to insult me, then I really can be facetious in that way. But not with him, because he didn't give me any reason to be. But anyway, in the video, I mean in the letter, I apologized to him. And I told him, like, I'm sorry, if you talk to any of my friends or anybody who knows me, they'll let you know. Like, I'm actually a really nice guy. I'm a gentleman, stuff like that. And if you no longer want to communicate, or if you, like, want me to stay out of your way, like, that's fine. But I just wanted to appropriately, like, apologize to you. And if you want, we can start off on the right note. Like, hey, my name is Denzel. Nice to meet you. So I printed it out. Saw the dude at the library again one day. He avoided me, and I was like, hey. And he looked back, and I was like, sorry, sir. Like, I just wanted to give this to you. I wrote this up, and it's just basically an apology letter. Like, honestly, like the other day when you came for me and everything, I really did not like know anything that you were talking about. But just want you to know that I'm really sorry for however I may have made you feel. Whatever. I'm really a nice guy. Yada yada yada. And he was like, okay. And I was like, yeah. So you can read that. Let me know what you think whenever you see me again or whatever. And just to get off on the right note, like, hi, my name is Denzel. Nice to meet you. And he was like, nice to meet you too. I still don't know what his name is to this day. But the next day I was at work, and he saw me. He came up, he asked for a pen and everything. Then he was like, all right, cool. Then when he came back, he gave the pen back, and he was like, all right, cool. Gave me a dap and everything. He's like, all right, I'll see you later, Denzel. I'm like, see ya. And even my coworker was like, wait, isn't that the guy? I was like, yup. She was like, that's crazy, because now you would think that we were best friends. Okay, so I've talked a lot in this video. I've tried to make it quick. But all of this to say, those two stories are pretty much to convey the idea that Dr. Wallace from Twitter, shout out to you, he tweeted me today after telling the story about the ENTJ that I had talked to today, that I like to quote people verbatim. So give me a second. He said, I'm not sure if this has an MBTI correlation, but in most relationships of any kind or duration, when conflict arises, there's typically a pursuer and an avoidant. You're definitely the pursuer in this one. I'm usually the avoidant. And I was like, oh, why do you think that you're an avoidant? He's ISTP, by the way. I helped type him earlier last week. And he said, not sure, it's probably similar to a JP thing. Most Js I know need closure. Many Ps don't want to be forced to resolve things until they feel led. Oh, package. Hold on real quick. Hey, I just got an iPhone X. Anyway. So, he said, not sure, it's probably similar to a JP thing. Most Js I know need closure. Many Ps don't want to be forced to resolve things until they feel led. Also, for a T, it's much easier for me to suppress my feelings than to deal with them. And I told him, like, oh, wow, that sounds interesting. I'm going to try and process that, whatever. Pretty much, my whole message in this video, and sorry if I just gave you a lot of information to keep up with or to think over, is that when it comes to this pursuer avoidant type of thing, and I'm not saying that the ENTJ Keisha was an avoidant, but the other dude was probably an avoidant as well, you know, I just pretty much want to urge all of us to maybe become a pursuer of relationships. And I'm not saying like I'm perfect or anything, but like I honestly, I don't like static. I don't like beefing. I don't like pettiness. I don't like bad vibes and bad energy, like, oh, this person's coming around, so like they're either gonna avoid me or I have to avoid them. I don't like stuff like that. I like to get along with everyone. We don't have to be best friends, but I at least want us to like be cordial, be cool with each other, stuff like that. And I would highly recommend, especially for those of you who are Christians that are watching, guys, let's get along with each other. Like, if you have a problem with your brother or your sister, go and talk to them. Try and like be the pursuer. Like, humble yourself down. It took humility to be able to write a letter. Like, even I'm not trying to come for Jamila and Simba, but they were like, in their position, they wouldn't feel any need to try and write that letter. They thought I was doing the most. My INFP friend, she thought I was doing the most by trying to reach out to Keisha and everything. But sometimes you really do have to do the most. You have to seemingly, I don't want to say be the bigger person, because I don't want to imply that Keisha and the other dude were not bigger people. If anything, the fact that they were receptive in that sense says a lot about their character as well. Some people, there will be people that they don't even want to talk, and in those cases, like, well, at least you tried. Like, if those two, if I wrote that letter and it didn't go well, and if I tried to speak to Keisha and it didn't go well, then I would have had peace with, like, dang, it sucks that we no longer are talking, or like somebody's out there thinking negatively of me, and it's false perception of my my intentions and everything, which I hate. I hate false perceptions of my intentions. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, I would have accepted it, like, at least I tried everything that I can. And even the Bible says that if you have a problem with your brother or your sister, try and go out and, like, try and mend things with them. Try to come to an understanding. Pray if you need to. In fact, I recommend that. Pray before you go and try and, like, speak to them so that things can be, like, peaceful. Listen to them. Understand them. Try and like understand, like, let them talk, say everything, even if you disagree, like just listen. And then it's like, okay, I've heard everything that you said, I see where you're coming from, this is kind of how it came off in my mind. You guys come to a mutual understanding, and eventually things hopefully will work out. This won't always work out, but I want to urge all of you watching this video to give that a chance. Be a pursuer, not an avoidant. Try, if you have like beef or anything with people around. I feel like I talk about this in a lot of my videos. In fact, even it was one of my New Year's resolutions. If you go and watch my video earlier this year, talking about 3 things that I want for the new year, something like that, which I'm also going to be making another video about pertaining to how I have kept those resolutions throughout this year. You can go check that out. I tell another similar story in that. But there's just a lot of good in being that pursuer, in humbling yourself and trying to mend bonds and altercations in that sense. And I just want to highly recommend all of you watching to go ahead and do that. Try and be meek, humble, receptive, and just mature. Try also to like understand other people, and if you've been wronged and somebody's coming to you, try and be like forgiving of that, like how Keisha was and how the dude that I wrote the letter to was. Like, try and like understand, like, hey, the fact that this person is trying to come and like talk about it, like, that says something about the person, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I felt like it was just really necessary to state that. Maybe some people will disagree. I mean, there's always going to be people who disagree with things that I have to say, and I'm okay with that now. But for those of you who do agree, for those of you who did resonate with this, make sure to like, subscribe, comment your views, opinions, whatever it may be. Even if you disagree, respectfully do so. And yeah, let's make this a discussion. But I'm glad that you guys were able to listen to this, and I'm glad everything went well today. I'm glad that I got me new iPhone X. And thanks for watching. Done.